NBC's coverage of the Mountain Dew Southern 500 is brought to you by the new Dew Mountain Dew Live Wire. Summer will never be the same again. By Cheerios, still the only leading cold cereal clinically proven to reduce cholesterol. Cheerios, good for the heart. By Dodge, you can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. And by Circuit City, we're with you. Packed house here at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina, watching pole sitter and race leader Ryan Newman set the pace here as we close in just past lap 203 of 367. Been a good run for Ryan. Battled with the car a little bit early. He has good balance on the race car. It's just a little bit tight off the exit of turn 2. That's the first car. Let's take you through the field. Next up, Marty.
Bill, Kevin Harvick is catching Ryan Newman under the last caution. Richard Childress came on the radio and said, pace yourself, don't overdo it. Came back on the radio, said, I feel fine, and the car is even better. Dave?
Marty, on that last pit stop, Jamie McMurray's crew put a little bit more air in the right front to help the loose in. It's still a little loose. He wants a wedge adjustment. That's what it liked last time. Bill?
Greg Biffle having a strong run here today. Dodged the bullet when they found that tire that was losing air pressure under the last caution. Not quite the handling they were looking for right here. They're telling him to race the racetrack. Be patient. Dave?
$1 million Bill. He's been in a good mood all day, and so is his race car. Remember our last report. No changes on the last pit stop. Just the 4 fresh tires. 48 car Jimmy Johnson. Remember that track bar adjustment they made? That's exactly what they've been talking about reversing next time they come on to pit road. Matt?
Terry Labonte hasn't won in Winston Cup since 1999. He is moving up on the move. The car was too tight on the previous stop. Track bar adjustment has helped. The air pressure adjustment on the last stop really helped, Dave.
But for Jeremy Mayfield all weekend was lumber, as Alan talked about earlier. After qualifying, when he banged the wall, they put a 4x4 in the right rear, and now he hasn't touched it as much since he did that time. Bill?
Ricky Craven says that his car is tight on entry. Craven says he wants better tires. What they've told him is that we're saving our best sets for later in the race. We'll see what happens. Matt?
The point leader, Matt Kenseth, hasn't won since Las Vegas. It looked like today was going to be the day, and then he hit the wall. The car has not been the same since. It was tight. He hasn't said anything about the car, Alan, about the last 15 laps.
There are your top 10. Change for third. Greg Biffle slipping by Jamie McMurray, but Ryan Newman is out in front by 2.5 seconds over Kevin Harvick. We continue going through the field. Bill, how about 11th place, Elliott Sadler?
Having a fine run with crew chief Todd Parrott. They battled that car throughout the race. Got it pretty close to where Elliott wants it. Just trying to dial in the handle a little bit. Strong run for him here at Darlington. Bobby Labonte is quite a story. Started 5th, fell back into the 20s, has slowly worked his way back up. Real hard work by the guys on pit road, and a driver that will not fall out of the seat. It's hot, but Bobby Labonte's in shape, and he is coming. Matt?
Jeff Burton came on the radio at lap 186, Bill, and said this thing's starting to get away from us. It's getting too tight. Then at lap 200, he said now it's plowing. Remember, he restarted 17th after the second stop. Now only running 13th. Matt?
Robbie Gordon has had a very solid car all day. The first 2 stops, no adjustments. An air pressure adjustment on his last stop because the car was just starting to go way too much to the loose side. Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd in the famed Wood Brothers Ford, he said the car is turning great and it's awesome on long runs. Do not change a thing on the next stop. In fact, he says, I don't know why all of a sudden this car is running so well on the bottom, all 4. Dave?
Tony Stewart making his way back through the field after falling back because of that second pit stop. They made an air pressure, spring rubber, and a track bar adjustment the last time to try to fix his car. It's been loose this afternoon. Matt?
Kyle Petty, I talked to his crew chief, and he told me, you know what, it feels like this race car all weekend. We've been battling the table with just 3 legs. When we found the 4th leg, we haven't done anything to this car all day, and it's really come around for Kyle at a place he really hasn't cared for most of his career, Dave.
Really good run for Kevin LePage and the Morgan McClure car. They were loose, then tight, and then they were good everywhere, so they made no changes. Now the car has gone just a little bit tight through the center of the corners, according to Kevin. Matt, back to you.
Dave, Kurt Busch battling back from that flat left front tire, currently in the 19th position. In fact, this car has been tight most of this run. Jimmy Finnick told me this will be the last race for this car. They are getting rid of it. Every time they've run it this year, they have struggled, so you will not see this chassis back at a track with Kurt Busch behind the wheel, Alan.
car's pretty fast, too.
Yeah, that's what Jimmy told me every time I've seen. I hate this car. I made a mistake bringing this car. I said, well, why did you bring it? Wind tunnel told me it's better.
It's fast.
Can't trust those things.
Those are your 19 lead lap cars at this point, and a change for second. Greg Biffle's flying all of a sudden.
Boy, he is.
Biffle, that last lap, almost 0.2 of a second faster than leader Ryan Newman. He's 3 3/4 seconds behind him now. Got some ground to make up. About a half a straightaway. Napa Field summary. Caution flags today. 5 of them had a 6-car wreck back at lap number 6. Had debris at lap 72. Lap 99, Mike Skinner hit the wall in turn 4. Debris at lap 147, and then at 166, another 6-car pileup. But most of the cars have been repaired and rejoined the race. Out are Johnny Benson, Casey Mears, Hermie Sadler, Tony Raines, and Christian Fittipaldi. Leaders today, Ryan Newman has led the most, 103 laps. Other leaders, Jeff Burton for 43, Matt Kenseth for 37, Jimmy Johnson for 17, Kevin Harvick for 10, Kyle Petty and Jimmy Spencer for 1 each by not pitting under a caution flag until the lap after the leaders did. Got a new member of our, I don't want to say walking wounded, but racing wrecked. How's that?
Racing wrecked,
New
yes.
member of the racing wrecked crew.
It's like a modified show around here.
There's another car that's leading with the radiator.
Well, Wally, as a guy from the Northeast who grew up following modifieds, I have to say a modified looks a whole lot prettier than that does right now.
Yeah.
Well, you did too. You used to race
I used to race
modifieds.
modifieds.
That's right. Oh, man, there's got to be some pictures from those days of you with bad hair.
Yeah, me and the fence. A lot of pictures of me and the fence.
Get that picture yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. Jeff Gordon out in 31st place, 47 laps down to the race leader. Dave Blaney's just come back on track, 30th place, 45 laps down to the race leader. And having a fun afternoon. Michael Waltrip out there with no front fenders. Rusty Wallace.
There's the battle of the rolling wrecks.
Yeah.
I think Michael's going to get him. Watch this. Just goes right by.
Blew by.
That's not for position, unfortunately. There's about 50 laps between them.
Actually, Michael's not running too bad for having all that damage. He's running 34-second laps.
And there is a minimum lap time that you have to run when you come back out from the garage. And the minimum lap time today is a 34.46-second lap. So people like Jeff Gordon have to be mindful of that. They only get the one chance to come out and meet the minimum speed when they come back from the garage. You know, you talked about the championship system. A lot of guys would be in favor of finding a way to make it so that you don't bring. Well, Wally, you talked about this.
I always talk about that.
Not bringing these wrecked race cars back out onto the track.
I think it's a bad idea because, well, the bad idea about it is, first of all, no driver likes to get back in a wrecked race car and then just be looking in the mirror all day because you're getting run over. But more importantly is, like these guys that don't have the front fenders on their car, if they crash a second time or they're involved in another crash, I think it's a harder hit because there's not as much up there to absorb that energy. But the way the points is, I mean, there's a premium, and every spot pays a lot of money in the points championship. So
that's why they got to go back out there and try to get that 3, 6, 9 points, wherever they can gain it. Jimmy Johnson still continues to struggle in that Lowe's car. Now back to the 9th position.
Keith Craven just got around him. That 32 car, it has been fairly impressive. He got into the wall pretty early on today and knocked in the right front fender a little bit and scuffed up the right side. They got a chance to fix the front fender some on a pit stop, and Craven's hanging right in there.
8th spot. We saw Matt Kenseth just a moment ago on the screen there, championship leader, and he appears to be struggling right now. Running about 0.2 of a second slower than the leader, Ryan Newman.
Well, let's see. When was the last pit stop? Lap 170, so it's been 48 laps since they pitted.
I wonder if he has damaged that car when he made contact with the wall. Matt, what's he saying?
Well, Benny, the bad radio communication is back in the 17th pit, but they were able to make out from what Matt said to Robbie that the right rear tire, he has burned it off. The car is now way, way loose.
Championship leaders days. Matt Kenseth did lead for quite a chunk early, then popped the wall at 108 while leading. Earnhardt Jr. had the axle problem on his car that put him in the garage for a little while. Kevin Harvick's the one that's having a decent day.
That's
in the
right.
top 3. So I wonder how much longer these guys will run before we'll see somebody make it. Probably another 20 laps or so, you think, if it stays under green? Somebody will,
Somebody will, come in a little bit earlier.
But for the most part, Ryan Newman's got to try to go 60 laps anyway. How about this kid Newman? What a season, huh?
Well, it's unbelievable.
What is that sophomore slump thing about?
And those guys told me this morning that they really wanted the victory today because now they only have one handful. They only have 5. They want to go to that second hand. Go to 6.
I hate that for them.
And they've also had 6 poles. They said they ought to match wins and poles.
Let's see how they're doing here. Biffle a little faster than Newman.
Biffle a little bit faster than everyone.
So we'll go 10 deep here. Yep, Greg Biffle fastest among the leaders on that last lap. So we were talking about pit strategy and when we might see some of these guys coming down pit road for the next stop. Marty, what do you got for us?
Well, Kevin Harvick is turning pretty good lap times compared to everyone else except Greg Biffle on the track. Biffle's in a class by himself right now at the end of this run. But Harvick's team's talking about coming in about 8 to 10 laps, a little bit earlier than we thought most teams would. Bill?
Oh, waiting to see what the leader Ryan Newman will do, and that usually dictates what some of the others are going to do. Looking for Ryan maybe a little bit past lap 240, and his car's really getting better the longer they run, so he could really be a factor here down the last laps of this race. But looking a little bit past 240 for the 12.
Greg Biffle closing in.
240.
That time he was 0.4 of a second faster than Ryan Newman. If he doesn't crash there going into the corner.
Watching his car earlier, he looked like he was loose, but he's driving it fast that way.
There's the gap from Biffle to Ryan Newman over the last few laps.
Ryan Newman struggled to get around Sterling Marlin in the 40 car, which allowed Biffle to make some of that gain.
And now remember earlier when Ryan Newman was out in front in the early part of the race, got to about 40 laps on a set of tires, and then he would fade back.
Now Leffler cost him a bunch of time right there.
Cost Biffle.
Yeah, Biffle had to jump up out of the throttle in order not to run over Leffler.
That's 9th place.
And Johnson continues that spiral backwards in that 48 car as Elliott Sadler goes by.
Pretty nice job for Elliott Sadler. His father was a little bit under the weather earlier this week. Glad to hear that he's doing better. And Elliott having a decent day here after banging up the right side of his car in Friday morning practice.
That last lap, Biffle had been running about 0.2 faster than Ryan Newman. That last lap, he was about a half second slower than Ryan Newman because of passing that car going down to turn 1.
Ryan Newman says Darlington is by far his favorite racetrack.
It is a fun racetrack to drive. I mean, it's just one of those places where your car slides and you have to be really, really smooth, but you're really, really busy. You just got to really, really take care of the throttle, because the harder you're on the throttle, the harder you are on your tires.
3 Winston Cup starts here at Darlington for Ryan. His finishes 5th, 2nd, and 14th. That's a pretty good record for a young driver.
Tell you what, Alan, cue the duck.
I hear some quacking going on.
Come on, cue the duck.
Time for the Aflac NASCAR Winston Cup Trivia Quiz. Who were the only father-son winners of the Southern 500?
Well, let's see. Maybe the Allisons, the Bakers.
Bakers.
We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen, the 73 Winston Cup champion. Oh, I didn't. I just. Oh, trouble, Joni Machek. Caution's out. Flat left side tires.
Big break for Kurt Busch. He gets stay back in the lead lap.
Gets the mile and a third pass. Here's Sterling Marlin to try and get one of his laps back.
Flat tire, 2.
Ken Schrader just in front of him back on track after 55 laps in the garage for repairs. Sixth caution.
Both left side tires are flat.
Got loose and then got hit.
Yes, that's correct.
And and then got behind on his steering.
Watch these left tires blow out as he locks up the brakes and just grinds that rubber. Just grinds the rubber. Come on, cue the tires. There's one.
Oh, there
there we go.
Roof flap up there. The car gets turned